You know, sometimes people find themselves in situations where they wonder, what if no one really cares about me or what I do? And it might seem like a heavy thought. Something that might bring feelings of isolation or maybe even sadness. But then, in those quiet moments, when you're all alone, there's a kind of freedom that comes with this thought. It's the kind of freedom where you realise no one expects anything from me. And when you think about that, you start to notice how powerful that feeling can be. How it opens up a space where you don't have to prove anything to anyone. It's like breathing in fresh air on a hilltop, with no one watching, no one telling you what to do. It's a feeling of being unburdened. And what happens when no one is paying attention? Well, it's almost like the world becomes your own canvas, and you get to create, move, and exist however you want, without the weight of expectations. It's like when a leaf falls in the forest, and for a moment the world holds its breath. No one is there to witness it, and yet it matters, doesn't it? The freedom to do as you please, simply because you can. And this freedom becomes a new kind of power, because in that freedom, you have the chance to choose what to do next, without needing anyone to validate it. And as you let this thought settle in your mind, gently noticing how it feels to let go of needing anyone's approval or concern, you begin to realise how much space there is for your own creativity. There's a kind of peace in knowing you don't have to play by anyone else's rules. And in that peace, there's a strength, real strength, because it comes from within you. You may find that over time, with each passing moment, it becomes easier and easier to remember that no one needs to care about what you do, because you have already given yourself permission to care about what you do. And in doing so, you begin to notice that each choice that you make for yourself, you step into your own power more fully. And with that power comes a kind of quiet joy, a joy that doesn't need anyone to see it, to make it real, a joy that simply is. You know, sometimes when people reflect on their lives, they realise there's this strange, almost paradoxical truth, that no one seems to care about what they do or who they are. And at first, this can sound a bit unsettling, even lonely. But when you pause for just a moment and really feel that truth, there's freedom in it. It's almost as if suddenly the pressure is gone. And when the pressure is gone, something else becomes apparent. It's as if for the first time you see just how open everything becomes. Everything becomes yours in a way that nothing else could ever be. You might notice, as I mention this, how that subtle shift in perspective can open up a world of possibilities. And you don't need anyone else to make it real. Because as you sit there, as you are, you might begin to notice the more you let go of needing anyone to care, the more you naturally start to care about what you do. And isn't it interesting how the less others are involved, the more you're free to focus on your own journey. It's like walking in a vast open space with no boundaries, no walls. And somehow that makes it easier to breathe, easier to move forward in your own way. And you may find in that space there's no pressure to conform, to be something that you're not. And that alone feels so liberating. And as you take a moment to consider this, I wonder, what could it be like to choose exactly what you want to create, without any influence from others? Imagine how effortlessly it would flow, how naturally it would all unfold, like a river carving its own path, with no one else telling it where to go. It's a kind of quiet power, isn't it? The kind of power that grows from within, without needing to show it off, because it doesn't need validation. And with each breath, as you begin to relax into this thought, you might realise something else. Maybe you've always been creating things in your life, always moving forward, always doing things for reasons that you understand. Maybe without even knowing how empowering it is. Because the truth is, when you realise no one has to care about you or what you do, you're not alone, you're free, free to be yourself, free to create, free to move in any direction that feels right to you. You see, it doesn't take the approval of others to know that you're making a difference in your own world. It doesn't take anyone else's permission to realize that your journey is yours alone, and that in itself is an incredible gift. And the more you allow yourself to think about it, the more you see just how powerful this freedom really is. And perhaps somewhere deep inside, you might start to notice this feeling feels like something you've always had access to, but maybe you just didn't realize it before. It was always there, waiting for you to discover it, because it's been a part of who you are all along. It's the way you can quietly choose the next step, knowing you have the power to create the life you desire, without anyone telling you how or why. Isn't that incredible? The way it can feel so natural to step into your own power, and just by doing so, feel that subtle shift in the world around you. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need anyone's approval, because the moment you realize this, you've already stepped into something much more powerful. And as you sit here now, letting all of this sink in, noticing how it feels to know no one cares about you or what you do, you might begin to sense a quiet kind of freedom that's impossible to explain with words. A freedom that's been yours all along. It's the kind of freedom that feels so good, so light, so powerful, that there's no need to go searching for anything else, because everything you need is right here with you now. And with this understanding, you realize there's nothing more empowering than knowing that you choose your path, and that is exactly what makes all the difference.